So Lee, here's your engine pulled apart. I have not done real measurements on anything as of yet. Really needed to show you everything before I clean anything up, because it's really bad in here. I still can't figure out exactly what your builder put in here. This stuff is kind of sandy, it's kind of greasy, it's kind of chunky. Probably when you started it up and tried to get it to run, it probably went through some heat cycles and churned this stuff up, because this is like thrown globs, and as it's drying out, the air's catching it, it's drying out, it's almost turning sandy. And I know it, some people might say that that's like corrosion off the aluminum, but I've scraped a couple areas and there's a little discoloration, but there's not pores underneath. Like, it's not, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. And like you told me, when you drop the engine off, let this oil sit, and you're right, it goes to like I think I got like 3 or 4 different layers in there. But I thought maybe he didn't pull the bottom end off of it or something, because I've pulled engines apart that look similar to this that have been in water, but it's been apart. I mean, you can tell the gasket, and it's got gasket sealer on it. This rod is not a factory rod, it's just some aftermarket one. That's frozen to the pin, by the way, so it's real tight in there. It's not supposed to be like that. You can see all the corrosion and scratches on the piston. But the camshaft is really nasty, and this stuff's on there. I mean, I gotta really scrub to wipe some of it off, and all the journal surfaces and writing surfaces on everything is just super pitted up. Another thing I noticed is some of this grease that's on these ends, which these go into the the journal pockets on the case and the side cover here. That almost feels like bearing grease in there. I've never heard of someone trying to use bearing grease on there unless it's to quiet something up, or something weird like that. But stuff's pretty thick. That's a whole lot of thickness across the bottom of the engine of God knows what. Governor shaft is pretty sloppy. That definitely didn't get addressed during the rebuild. The valves themselves, they're not really cut. This is too wide. This is more like around 70 to 80 thousandths, and these are that's supposed to be 35 thousandths on your intake and 45 thousandths on your exhaust, and both of these are real wide. The cylinder bore is pretty scratched up. Again, I've got to actually set up my bore gauge and get true measurements, but I took one ring off and just threw it in there, and at the top it's like a 25 thousandths, 25 to 28 thousandths ring gap, so that's way out. The valves themselves, like I said, that this is way too thick. That should only be like a little line in the center where the valve face meets the seat. What happens there is when the temperatures get up there, they start losing their seat. And another thing, I did put a pilot for my valve seat cutter in there, and the intake side is out a little bit. So it probably would need an oversized valve to do it right when the valve job gets done. These are cut pretty sloppily. if that's a word. You can see these are supposed to be flat, and I can see that here on my video. You can see all the little angles, and this guy would be better at maybe cutting precious gemstones. This one's a princess cut, but this one here only has one little area that's hitting the tappet, and these are supposed to be real flat, and you can see, like, I guess vice marks really chunked into the top there. Anyway, crankshaft, you know, my biggest worries right now, I need to clean everything up. My biggest worries is this is a scratch line in the center. If this measures out pretty well, we can, you know, and I can get it polished out, we could try it. Same with the block. My biggest concern with the block is, like, the aluminum, the journals. If I can't get everything cleaned out real well, and as far as, you know, not taking it too far out, you know, we might be able to save this, but I've got to get it cleaned up first and see just how nasty it is, because, like, I don't know how well it shows up, but that stuff's all the way into those little V cuts where oil feeds in, and there's a lot of staining. You know, I'd hate to clean it up real nice and get it running and then something start bleeding out of the block, you know, and chew it up again. So, but anyway, that's that. I'll start cleaning it up now that I took a video, so you know exactly what it looked like.